That's my secret, Cap. I'm always sore.
This isn't the best, but it's not half bad.
Hey everybody, I'm the anime trainer and it is day 4 of the Oliva training program. Who's Oliva, you ask?
Dwight, you ignorant slut!
If you're going to ask that question, you obviously haven't been watching the previous 3 Oliva workouts, so go and watch those. Or don't. I'm not your real dad. But as your fake dad, I'm going to need you to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Click the bell icon so you can go ahead and get all the updates of all the workouts that we do. You will appreciate it. Or else. But seriously, Oliva is a fictional mountain of muscle from the series Baki, and he's based on the real-life bodybuilder Sergio Oliva, who was awesome enough to beat Arnold Schwarzenegger on stage. Sergio Oliva fully deserves his nickname of The Myth. Oliva's lifting program was characterized by the use of a relatively small number of total exercises and a metric crap ton of volume. Keeping with this theme, day 4 of his program wraps back to chest and back with a little bit of shoulders thrown into the mix for a total number of exercises of 5 in the entire workout. Also, remember that after all 6 days of Oliva's workouts are released, we'll be doing a full program video to show you how to put it all together, do the progressions and whatnot. And if you'd like to learn a little bit more about weightlifting and the adaptations that come along with it, I did a few videos on that right here, so check those 3 out. We start off today with 7 sets of bench press. You'll remember that on the day 1 chest and back workout, it was 7 sets of 8 reps in a superset with pull-ups. But today, this one is just 7 sets of 5. The percentages of 1RM, though, will follow the exact same percentages of day 1. So, let's recap what those percentages were. First set, 35% of 1 rep max. Second set, 40% of 1 rep max. Third set, 50% of 1 rep max. Fourth, 55% of 1 rep max. Fifth set is 62.5% of 1 rep max. Sixth set is 67.5% of 1 rep max. And the final set, 70% of 1 rep max. On this run through though, since it's only 5 reps instead of 8, I want you guys to focus on resting only 60 seconds between these sets. Not 60 to 90 like we have been on most of the other things that we do, and like on the sets that were for day 1. Day 1 and day 2 of the program so far likely have your chest, shoulders, and arms still potentially pretty sore. So this is allowing you to work the muscle again and keep you familiar with the feel of those weights, but not asking you to outdo what you did just a few days ago. Quick reminders: control the weight, keep the elbows from flaring out, drive your feet into the ground, core tight, and do not bounce the weight off your chest. Your sternum, believe it or not, is not a trampoline. The rest of the workout, we're working with supersets of shoulders and lats. The first superset is 5 sets of 5 reps behind the neck shoulder press and 10 reps of seated cable or machine row, both with increasingly heavier weights. You're going to rest 60 to 90 seconds in between these supersets, and you should be struggling on the final set of each to get the prescribed rep count. Okay, let's talk about the behind the neck shoulder press. Ideally, this is an ideal, you should be using a heavier weight than you did on day 2 for the normal barbell shoulder press because you're only doing 5 reps instead of 15. It's not that much heavier, but it is heavier. Here's the 1RM percentages of your normal barbell shoulder press that you will be using for this exercise, just for reference. Set 1 is 35% of your 1 rep max. Set 2 is 45% of your 1 rep max. Set 3 is 55% of your 1 rep max. Set 4 is 65% of your 1 rep max, and we're going to end that up on set 5 with 75% of your 1 rep max. Here's the thing though, guys. Behind the neck shoulder press is not for everyone. It requires that you already have good shoulder and thoracic spine mobility. Once again, if you need mobility work, spend some time with the Broly yoga video or the Luffy the Rubberman workouts. They will definitely help you out. If you lack the mobility for this exercise, you're more likely to harm yourself. And if you're new to the exercise completely, but you have the mobility, you should be doing it with a lot less weight to get used to it, even if it's just the empty bar for a while. If it's just not an option for you, or you don't feel comfortable with the movement, just perform a normal barbell overhead press. The form for the behind the neck press starts from a back squat position with your hands in the same position they would be if you were doing a normal barbell overhead press. Keep your elbows under the bar, shoulder blades pulled together, and press directly up over your head until the bar is locked out over your shoulders and there is a vertical line from the bar through the shoulders, hips, knees, and feet all the way into the floor. When bringing the weight down, maintain your scapular retraction and control the weight down. If you try to go too quickly, you may end up cracking yourself in the head or, God forbid, having the weight go too far back, and you do not want a dislocated shoulder because you were not paying attention to form. That is a bad, bad day. Moving on to the seated cable or machine row, reach out and grab whatever handles you have available. I like using the neutral close grip because we'll be using a barbell for rows in just a little bit. Keep your back straight, scapula retracted, and pull through your elbows until the handle touches just below your sternum. If you think about pulling your hands to you instead of your elbows will flare out and you will be working more on the internal rotation of the shoulder rather than your lats. So don't do that. Elbows straight back. You can lean forward ever so slightly at the end of the movement when your arms are fully extended, but don't use the slight rearward lean in order to get more power generated for the row. You want to focus on your lats here. Control the weight.
I'm gonna need to step out of the car for a little while.
Right now?
The second superset is 5 sets of 10 reps of seated dumbbell press and 5 reps of barbell bent over row, both with increasingly heavier weights, with 60 to 90 seconds of rest in between the supersets. We'll talk about the percentages of 1RM on the bent over row in just a minute. First of all, let's talk about the seated dumbbell press. You can do this exercise on a bench with a back or without a back. Just know that if you're doing the exercise on a bench without a back, there will be an additional layer of core stability that is required, which will limit your ability to lift heavier weights, especially since you just completely destroyed your abs yesterday. I like to keep my hands in a neutral position when working with dumbbells, since we have to keep our hands in a pronated position so frequently when working with barbells. It's just a little bit of a rest for the rotator cuff on constantly having to fight internal rotation. Keep your elbows in tight, press up and back over the shoulder, control the weight down. Be mindful of the balance factor of pressing dumbbells rather than a barbell. You don't want to lose control of the dumbbells. Your elbow should also stay directly underneath the handle. If the weight is not directly over the elbow during the lift, you run the risk of the weight collapsing on you during the lift, and I have seriously watched a guy drop a dumbbell on his head before. It is not pretty. Next, barbell rows. We're doing 5 reps per set, working up to 80% of your 1 rep max. Set 1, it's 40% of your 1 rep max. Set 2, 50% of your 1 rep max. Set 3, 60% of your 1 rep max. Set 4 is 70% of your 1 rep max. And the final set is 80% of your 1 rep max. As you approach the bar, your shins should be touching it. Hinge from the hips, push your butt back to get into this position, maintaining a flat back. If you are getting into this position by rounding the spine, you are set up way wrong. Hands will be placed just outside the shoulders. I typically like to deadlift the weight first and then push back into the starting position before starting the set, but that's not a requirement, although you may want to just because there's a serious lack of deadlifts in this program, which we will talk about later, but not right now. With your back perpendicular to the ground and flat, shoulder blades pulled back, pull through your elbows, controlling the weight through the motion. The weight should touch just below your sternum and your arm should return to full extension. If at full extension of the arm, the weight is touching the ground, you will want to make sure that you are standing on a plate to give yourself a little bit of extra height because you don't want the weight to touch the ground. You want to have constant tension throughout the entire movement. Keep your core tight, as it will help you maintain the necessary posture. There should be no use of momentum during this movement. I'm sure you've seen the guys who generate momentum to move the bar with their legs and their hips rather than pulling with their lats. That's not really working your lats all that much, so let's not do that. All right, let's review. Bench press, 7 sets of 5, working up to 70% of your 1 rep max. Next, 5 supersets of 5 behind the neck shoulder press, working up to 75% of your 1 rep max of normal barbell press. And 10 seated cable rows with increasingly heavier weight, 60 to 90 seconds between those supersets. Finally, 5 supersets of 10 seated dumbbell overhead press with increasingly heavier weight, and 5 barbell bent over rows working up to 80% of your 1 rep max with 60 to 90 seconds between the supersets. And that's day 4. As I've said before, if you're new to bodybuilding protocols, you're probably super sore because of the volume, especially since Oliva was already addicted to high volume work. If you need to, lower your weights 10 to 20% lower than whatever you're already using and start lighter than you think you need to progress slowly over time, because you have to adapt to the volume just like you have to adapt to the weight. Remember that building muscle takes time and consistent work, so don't rush it. Thank you guys very much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you so much to our patrons. You help us cover our expenses to get this content out to you guys. You have no idea how much we appreciate that. Thank you guys for watching. That's all for today, and until next time, good luck and train hard.